Most people think quad bikes are different. They assume that because they're used on farms, the normal road rules don't apply. But that's exactly where you get caught out. The moment a quad bike touches a public road, the legal position changes completely. Today we'll look at where the farming myth came from, what the law actually says, and also why waterways follow a surprisingly similar pattern. So this is part 38 in a video series, and we're still on chapter 4, driving laws and navigation laws. And today we will cover the quad bikes. So it's quad bikes and the farming myth. And I hear this so often. People actually think this is a law. Quad bikes sit in an awkward space between machinery and vehicles, and that leads to a lot of confusion, particularly among those moving onto land. On private land, the rules are relatively simple. If a quad bike is used entirely off-road, it does not need to be taxed, insured or MOT tested. It is treated as off-road machinery. But the moment it touches a public road, that changes completely. Under the Road Traffic Act 1988, a quad bike used on a road must be registered, taxed and insured, and it must meet road legal requirements. That includes having appropriate lighting, a number plate, and, depending on the type, approval for road use. There is a widespread belief that farmers are exempt from these rules when moving between fields. In practice, what exists is not a blanket exemption but a narrow tolerance. Short crossings between adjacent parcels of land may be overlooked, particularly where the movement is clearly agricultural and minimal in distance. But this is not the same as a legal right to travel along roads between separate farms or over longer distances. Once a quad bike is used on the road in any meaningful way, it falls fully within the road traffic law. Distance, purpose and visibility all influence whether enforcement happens, but none of them remove the underlying requirement. For those living off-grid, this becomes another version of the same pattern seen elsewhere. What people do in practice and what the law allows are not always the same. A short round down a quiet lane may go unnoticed for years, or down the pub, or it may attract attention the first time it happens. As with towing and vehicle use, more generally, the key point is not to assume exemption where none exists. The system may tolerate certain behaviours, but it does not formally permit them. Movement on waterways, slower but still regulated. There are no speed limits in the same sense as roads, but there are strict expectations on waterways. Speed must be low enough to avoid damage. That's wash, bank erosion and other boats. And many areas have posted limits, for example 4 miles an hour on canals. Dangerous or inconsiderate navigation can lead to enforcement action, licence issues or removal. So while the system appears looser, behaviour is still regulated through outcome rather than fixed rules. So just because something is commonly done doesn't make it legally exempt. Whether it's a quad bike crossing a lane or a boat travelling a canal, enforcement often depends on how the vehicle is being used, not what people assume the rules are. If you're trying to live differently, this isn't just about quad bikes or boats, it's again, as we keep saying, about understanding how the system actually works before you get nicked. In the next videos, we'll look at drink, drugs and the absolute legal line. The often misunderstood offence of sleeping in vehicles and boats, and how alcohol and drugs laws apply when you're in control of a vessel.